Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Talking Tuesdays. My name is Tanvi Sharma, and our topic for today's Talking Tuesday is prenatal parenting. So, let me just see if Divya is here. Let me add her to this conversation. So, whosoever is watching this live, you can ask your questions in the comment box. And for later viewing, you can just send us a message in case you have anything, any doubts, any questions, any comments, any feedback. You can let us know. Okay, let me get my headphones ready in the meanwhile. All set. All right, the video's here. Okay, it's showing waiting. Please do leave your feedback for us on our Talking Tuesdays, and also let us know if there are any particular topics that you would want us to, cover. We'll be more than happy. In fact, today's topic is, the end of the series of our journey of the embryo, and we will be picking up another interesting series from next time onwards. Hi, Divya.
Hi, Tanvi. I was just
Hi.
enjoying hear you speak, so I was going to stay quiet for a while. Carry on.
So I was just telling everybody that if they can leave some feedback for us on our IGTV, on our Talking Tuesday series, and also if there are any particular topics that they would want us to discuss and talk about, and how we would be starting a new series from the next week onwards.
But also, what we're going to do at the end of these series is put together more information on the same as a course. And we invite you to come and talk to us about it and see if you can review it or you want to enroll for it, whatever that is. And I'll leave Tanvi to do that talking as well.
Sure. So let's get to our Talking Tuesday first, and I'll leave the information on our course. If anyone's interested, I'll let you know by the end of this Talking Tuesday, and also we will be putting up information on our Instagram on the same. So if anyone would like to know more about it, or is interested in this particular topic, even if you're not pregnant, because we have a lot of people who are coming to our Insta page just out of curiosity and knowledge. So you're more than welcome to reach out to us.
Okay, so then today's Talking Tuesday is about people who are not pregnant as well.
True.
And the question I want to pose that is by Aristotle: are you creating or are you recreating? And the reason I want to tie it up with prenatal parenting is that there is so much more going on during pregnancy than we give credit for. And I'm going to park that thought for a moment, and I'm going to speak something that I read out of, William, with the same title, Prenatal Parenting, This is Frederick Worth, and he is a neonatologist, and he works with premature babies. And his questions were so profound. When I first read the book, I think came out in 2001, and when I first read it, it made me think that as a doula, as a childbirth educator, whatever I was doing, and my own children's journey and all, really, is it so simplistic? Or have we taken a really big circuit and applied it in a way that we've lost the true simplicity of what this was supposed to be? And let me give an example. So he's talking about United States of America, and he's talking about maternal mortality and infant mortality, and he's saying that they are the worst in developing nations, which is
Correct.
shocking because not only are they leading on the frontiers of technology and medical science, but also they spend so much money on healthcare.
Correct.
But it's interesting that he says that once the baby is born and is in a NICU, then their chances of survival are the same as any other hospital and any other place in the world. Now it's interesting because that tells us that as doctors, they are capable as any other doctor in the world. But as far as birth goes, and he's talking in terms of prematurity, he said that obstetrics is not able to stop premature births. So therefore, it's not their skill set. And unfortunately, move forward about 20 years, we are in 2020, and we have now completely begun to think that the doctors are taking care of our pregnancy. And this is what inspired this whole embryo journey, for us to acknowledge that there is so much more happening that the doctor is not concerned with. Your daily activity, the food you eat, the quality of your presence, everything. The doctor is not interested. They are interested in their tests that help them identify problems.
Right.
Okay, that is great. We have somebody on guard duty. But who's taking care of everyday work? And that comprises prenatal parenting. But I want you to take a pause here for a moment from if you're pregnant, from the baby you're carrying, and if you're planning a baby, then the baby you're intending, and start to think who you are has been shaped by the very same forces that will then get passed on to your child as you become pregnant. Philosophies of birth, philosophies of womanhood, philosophies of life, interpersonal relationships, your patterns, your imprints. Where did they come from? Because you were a baby once. Think of it this way. When you were a baby and you felt hungry and you cried, and your mom picked you up each time and fed you and touched you and loved you, what did it tell you? What did it give you an indicator of? It told you, I control my world because I can ask for help. There is another human being who cares for me. The quality of her caring had come to you through the placenta, through the biochemistry. You understood love, and that will then be reflected in all your relationships, but also is the wiring of your brain even before you could think. And I'm going to use Hindi because ऐसे ही होता है. Where does that statement come? It is so. Where does that statement come from? Our culture, our education, our belief systems, we take in. Well, our education system, no, but what we learn in the early period, it becomes our absolute truth from which everything else is judged or looked at or evaluated or cognized. But that is there from our parents. And we're going to pass it on. So are we creating or are we just recreating the same templates that are being passed out? And pregnancy is a great time to change that. So we're going to say in this pregnancy period, you have an opportunity to recreate yourself. You're also the baby because all your cells will practically renew themselves in 3 months. But the information on which, if you look at epigenetics or you look at the work of Bruce Lipton, the biology of belief, the way that cell will express its genetics, not change its genetics, but express it, will be about what you think, what you feel, who you are. And those are already pre-programmed. So you're literally learning and reproducing the same thing over and over again. But here's a moment of pause to recreate. And that would also be a part of prenatal parenting. How you begin to see yourself as a parent. Question everything you think is right. Question the doctor, question your mother, question everything. And take it from the lens of this embryo journey that we've talked about, how the baby is developing. Start to feel within, is this really what serves me today? Or is this a legacy that was passed on to me? And truly you will become in charge of your own life. Is there anything as absolute
Divya, your
as,
voice is cracking a little and video is also pixelating.
oh, that's terrible. I'm on the good network, Tanvi. It shouldn't be happening.
Is it mine?
Is that any better? I'm supposedly on a good network.
It's still pixelating.
Oh dear.
The video is
Wait.
pixelating.
Let's see if I can. Maybe we should shut our videos off, if that's even possible. Okay. Let me just shut down everything else in a minute. Okay. Maybe it'll get a little bit better.
Okay. But we can hear you now.
Okay, great. So here's an opportunity. So prenatal parenting isn't about what you're going to do for the child, but it's also about an inward journey of where you're coming from. Because you're going to just carry those imprints forward and pass them on. How you parent would be a reflection of how you were parented. Now you could swing both ways. You could either become unconsciously the parent that you had, and that may be a great thing. But if you have evaluated and you're conscious of the fact that it is a great thing, well, then more power to you. Or you may be the diametrically opposite of what you said. You might do things that you didn't like in your own childhood and become obsessive about them simply because you were trying to heal yourself rather than be the parent of this child. So truly becoming the parent of the child would require you to take a journey of that growing baby with the baby from the beginning, starting from the intention to all the way the birth. And in terms of your parenting, I'd always say pregnancy is a practice time for your parenting. And I'll tell you why. Because you're making lifestyle changes, right? You're looking at food. These are the very things you will look for your child. But instead of thinking, I have to eat A, B, and C food because it's good for the fetus, if I say, what flavors am I giving my child so that that becomes his healthy diet later? That's parenting. You don't ever teach your children. None of us have ever learned anything because our parents told us so. We learned it because our parents were so. Our experience was so, not because. So we always learn by observation, by experience, by example. We lead by example. We don't learn by cognitive learning because as babies, we don't have cognitive learning. So when you sit on a table and share your meal with your partner and laugh about it, the baby is getting a very good experience of mealtime. You will never have to tell your children to sit down for a meal together as a family because that's all they know. That's their foundation. That's where they've started from. And all these newfangled ideas about birthing. I mean, sometimes I think, don't we stop to pause that we were brought up and generations before us were parented really well to arrive at this potential by people who had not outsourced parenting to anybody but followed their instinct. But so we're going to take all this material and then talk about prenatal parenting. But I want to read from Marcy Axel's book, something that she calls an acronym for parent. And that's a very simple thumb rule, which we want to bring into prenatal parenting. And she says, The first step is presence. She wrote an article about it. So she said the first step is presence, being fully engaged right here, right now, with your body, your thoughts, your feelings. How many of us do that? Our interest is from doctor's visits to doctor's visit. And our interest is centered around, is this good for the baby? Is this good for the baby? Is this safe? Is this safe? Which is a very negative bias to have, because we have not really spent time with the baby. So we are actually in the process of imprinting babies with the idea that we have to do something and achieve something rather than be something and enjoy that. So first part is presence. Second is awareness. And I think My Child First is all about that. We want to bring awareness to parents. So awareness of knowing what you need to know to be effective, not absolute. Again, life is never absolute. Somehow we've been now given this idea of achieving something which is in absolute terms. That's not going to happen. But an awareness of effectiveness. We talk about it in our childbirth class. We talk about it and we've talked about it in Talking Tuesdays, saying that we don't want to get the best baby in the market. We want to be the best parent for the baby. So we want to become more effective as parents rather than acquiring traits in the baby that is going to be more effective. Then rhythm. I know that lots of people talk about that. So PAR, rhythm, is for finding your own rhythm in life. When your life's rhythm or biorhythm is off center to the rhythm that you're imposing or the routine you're imposing, you will always be stretched to the limit. How will that ever help you? And this is really significant in the prenatal period, because as a parenting paradigm, you are fragmenting yourself into two parts. Lots of people will make a really tall statement, I intend to work till the last day. I love that sentiment, great. But it kind of precludes any change. I will continue to work till the last day because pregnancy needs no effort, no energy, no change, no attention. I can carry on. Whereas if I were to do a huge project, I would need to change a lot of my rhythm to pay attention to it. And pregnancy is the biggest human project you will ever do. So being mindful how the presence of the baby and all that the baby is doing in utero, taking in from you, how does that adapt your rhythm? Which may need extra rest, which may need putting your feet up, which may need eating a little bit more, which may need, looking at how you want to look at your relationships, how much downtime you want, what is the purview in which you work. But now again, think, this is prenatal parenting because you are already looking at your life as a practice to when you will become a parent. Because certainly there isn't anybody who's going to just let go of their child and go back to their life. Take a moment and pause. What is our life like from 9 to 5 or 9 to 8 or whatever it is? Is there space for a baby in it? And if you're going to go back to that life, then this baby has nobody. So again, this prenatal parenting is a concept that it's practice for parenting. The baby is giving you ample time and opportunity to practice and regrow yourself. Then she talks about example. It's the ultimate mode of teaching and learning. How are you going to tell your child to take it easy, that the world is your oyster, if you are not feeling that way, you are not behaving that way? If we are, if we say relationships are important and pay no attention to this child in utero, and his first imprint of the world is that my mother is too busy for me, what kind of an example are we setting for this baby?
Right.
Then we come to nurturance. Nurturance, she calls, Marcy Access, she says, this is the practical demonstration of love. And this is something that I say, it's very close to my heart, is because we're now living in a culture where everything needs proof and larger than life billboards. You might give somebody 100 Hallmark cards, but cooking them a simple meal and making sure you're hearing what they like to eat is a whole different level of showing that you care. So nurturing. And what would that mean? Trust. Trust is a really important aspect in human behavior. And the reason is that up until now, let's look at it up until now, and let's look at this continuous unconscious patterning. Look from where we started. We started as maybe cavemen. And what did we need to survive? Because fear was prevalent. We were prey. our brain kept looking at negative bias. What is the sound that is unsafe? I need to run away. Now in today's world, we still have that as a predominant bias because it's been either it's wired in our brain and we pass it on to our children. Yeah, how many times do we tell our children to take a risk? Go do what you want to do. We're constantly saying, be careful, be careful, be careful. The world is not a good place and you are not capable. But it's a legacy we've got. It's not something we want to tell our children. But cognitively, we tell our children, you can do whatever you want. I'm here, you can take a risk. But we're not really telling them to take a risk. So how do we define that trust? Again, I don't want anybody to say that they did it because I said it, because that is just continuing the same paradigm. I want them to know what trust feels. Where is the boundary to which they can extend today? And that might be really tiny today because that's their experience. And that's okay. And that needs to be respected. And then can we move it forward? And then we can move it forward. And so trust, reliance upon outside your immediate perception. So that will extend to people who are supporting you in pregnancy. That will extend to people you want in your life during pregnancy or in your child's life. Who do you trust? And also with your care provider. That is so, so important. And not when people say, oh, but she's the doctor, I trust her. If you do trust her, then you cannot be anxious. And if you're being anxious, if you're worried, then truly that's not trust. That's word. That you're using the word trust. And the last and the most dearest to me is simplicity. She talks about the absence of excess and complexity. What truly matters at the end of the day? When I quieten everything down, what would simply matter? And you'll find that it'll be really, really the things that that you don't really have to spend much money on or effort on. You know, having a cup of coffee with a good friend. And you could make the coffee at home. You could sit at the chai ka dukaan with a 2 rupee cup or a 5 rupee cup. It doesn't have to be in a 5-star hotel or a specific
That's
coffee.
where the real bonding starts.
That's right.
The
So
chai
say for
walas.
to begin to be parents, PARENTS. This is the acronym she uses, and she says that now is the time, because we have now reached the part of our human existence where we have this supercomputer with a really outdated software operating system, or fear, lack of trust, not having enough. This is from a time where we lived as hunter-gatherers, or maybe even before or after that. But with today's world, we don't have to live like that. So we need to upgrade this. And then, of course, that is prenatal parenting, where we take those 9 months, appreciating the growth of the baby, and being conscious of what are the imprints we want to give him or her. And then at the same time, looking back with compassion to our own parents and our sorry, and looking at our own imprints and consciously slowing them down, naming them, playing with them, not judging them, playing with them. If I am this way, what does it mean? How does it feel inside? How does it feel to project it outside? And you'll find those spots where you could tweak it a little bit or let it go completely. Or you say, oh my God, this is the most important thing. Build it up. And then what you would have would be more you today as the mother of this child or the father of this child, which is also, because we are not calling it mothering, we are calling it parenting. We want to include fathers. So we have all these stories about fathers, no? That they are providers. They're supposed to be protectors. But why not nurturers? They can nurture the mother so that the baby is nurtured, but they can also nurture the baby directly. They can have a relationship with the baby directly. Babies do listen to voices. They do have direct relationships. They are also presenting themselves to the baby as a relationship through the mother's biochemistry, through their relationship as an ever-expanding ripple of their relationship with the mother. So say the father and the mother are sitting together, they speak to each other, then she laughs, or she says something and the father laughs, and the mother feels joy, and that's the biochemistry the baby feels. Versus the mother says something and the father laughs cynically or sarcastically, and she cringes inside. And that's the so the meaning of that father's laughter changes for that baby. Not because what the mother has said to him, but what the father has projected as a nurturer to this dynamics. So prenatal parenting would then mean not things you would do, or they will become automatic because you're living your life, so you are doing many things, but how you reinvent yourself as parents. And that's where this might want to go. It may start with you just beginning to, and I'm going to give you a little tip here. You can start a journal, and you call what we call sentence stemming. So you write the first part of the sentence, and you feel what arises through you. And I'm going to give you an example. You say, "What did I felt when I first heard I was pregnant?" ... You write it at the top of a paper, and then you read this word back to yourself and see what comes to you. Don't judge it, because no matter what you felt, the baby did feel it. They are intimately linked to you. But by acknowledging it, even if it was not the most positive statement, but by acknowledging it, by retracing the journey of it, because if you're pregnant, the baby's still here, by respecting your own process and finding the depth, taking this time to say, when I first heard I was pregnant, and this is an example, I felt shock because I wasn't ready to have another child, or I wasn't ready for this child. And then I felt moments of panic, overwhelm. When I first heard I was pregnant, I also felt a surreal feeling. These are all the feelings the baby felt. They're not wrong. And then you can, of course, that tells you what happened, and then you can give the baby a little context, because we've always talked about differentiation, to separate your feelings from the baby's, or give the baby context to their experience, saying, while I felt the overwhelm, I also felt awe, or my own child came up for me, or I worried I won't be a good enough father or a mother, and and then the next step of it. So you could do a little bit of an exercise like that. We have a whole bunch of exercises of self-exploration that we are going to set up. And so prenatal parenting is taking the cues from the baby, applying them to your life, as if the baby is showing you the patterns and the rhythms of his life in his presence or her presence, and then starting to see how I meet this new change. One example we give often is when the last month, moms say, I really can't get any sleep because I have to go to the bathroom very often. So I say, don't worry about that. Think strategies, you're smart, how you will get your rest through the day, or maybe go back to sleep at night, whether it's a script that you use, or a music you use, or it's something that, or an oil, or you need a particular thing to drink, something that helps you relax and go back to sleep again, because that will become your tool when you wake up often to feed the baby. So the baby is teaching you that you have to learn this skill of waking up and sleeping, because I would need you to do that. And that is how you say, oh, okay, now I'm getting a practice of what my parenting be would like. But most of us unfortunately get caught up with saying, oh my God, my knee, I haven't got enough sleep. This is too much for me. That's because our brain is wired for the negative bias. And we're going to take that away and put it in a different direction of thinking. So we can start with some of these simple explorations, a chance to reclaim and create your new self, away or different, if need be, from the templates that we are given by our parents, their parents before them, and their parents before them. And those don't serve us at all. We don't live in that world anymore. So how do we bring all of that to this world and then offer that to the baby to move forward? That would be prenatal parenting.
Great. So Divya, can we also, I can hear myself. Divya, can we also talk about, there was one of the videos that we did for MCF wherein you spoke about making a room for baby in your life. And that was especially for people who are, planning to have a baby. So can we just, talk about that aspect as well, that it's not really a physical room
Yeah,
that you
it's
need to
not a
create,
physical
but
room at all. It's not a physical room at all. So think of the room as a room in your life. If your life has 6 different rooms, which is home, work, friends, socializing, daily chores, cooking, uh, where will the baby go? So you'll have to now create a small space, maybe 10 minutes a day, to welcome this baby, talk to the baby, sit with the baby, spend time as a family. How do you see yourself and this baby integrating into your life? You know, the one statement that really bothers me is saying, when can I go back to my life? Why would anybody want to go backward? Especially if you've done the beautiful work and hard work of creating another human being. Why would you want to go away from that? So how do you integrate? Which will also give you an opportunity to talk about your parenting philosophy. So you say, my time with my spouse is sacrosanct, so I like to have my baby sleep before we get that hour together. Or somebody else may say, oh, but we work together, so our room would include the baby and we would have a meal together. Or somebody may say, I have a life, I have a job that takes me out. The father may say, so for me, the days I'm home, I want to have a room for the baby in my life where it's just the two of us and the mom gets some time off. It doesn't matter how you create that room because it's unique to you. But is the baby there? Because when you start to think about this right away, making room, you know, uh, you are also telling the baby at every step that they're a part of your life, that they are loved, that you're dreaming, imagining them coming into their life, that you have plans with them. Will that baby not feel welcomed and wanted? Think of the brain development that will do for that baby with that idea that, oh, I am important, I'm worth loving. These people are creating a whole space for me in their lives, not in their home. In fact, creating a room in the home probably may not be the best idea because that actually brings separation between you and the baby. And while you may have the world-class monitors there that tells you the baby is safe, nothing tells the baby that he's safe or she's safe because you're not there. So think about how you bring them into your life rather than fit them in your life. Because
right.
when I get somebody and I say, this is my life, I don't want to change, and you need to fit in, that doesn't say I love you and you're welcome at all.
True.
That's a box ticked. So making room would mean, how do I see spending my time? What does it mean for me to have a family? Where does the baby fit in? What are my beliefs about parenting, which would mean sleep time, meal time, family time? How do I bring discipline in my life? Because I can't discipline a baby. They have their own rhythms and needs. But when I'm a disciplined person, then I lead by example. My child learns that. So if I'm particular about getting ready every morning, having a certain, even on days of holiday, and being able to define that, then my child will learn it automatically. I don't have to teach them how to have discipline in their life. If I honor my commitments, if I don't tell lies, the child's going to learn exactly that. That will become their template. So if making room would be making room in my mind, in my heart, in my life, in my calendar. Very important. How do I make room for the baby?
Great. So, that was it for from us this Talking Tuesday. Anuradha Shetty is saying we need to break away from the conditioning which is so engraved within us.
Yes, but the thing about the conditioning that is engraved in us is that we're unconscious to it. We don't know it's engraved unless we start to slow things down and not have, because they are highways in our brain. They happened even before we could question it.
Yeah.
So to begin to question that, we'll have to question a lot of things and then evaluate. Okay, this I want to keep, this I don't want. That's also making room. Now, how do you make room in your home? So you bring out everything and you say, what do I want to keep, or what do I want to give away? And as you give things that no longer serve you, or you don't longer want, or you don't longer need, you make room. So even that is making room in your life. But I know everybody says it, I know everybody knows it, but in the last 20 years that I've worked, people are saying something in this direction, but the whole paradigm is moving in this direction. And perhaps we need to pause and reevaluate what we are doing so that we can find a different way of doing it. And
So Divya, can you
that's the
just let
idea.
us know the name of the book again, which you were referring to?
It's called Prenatal Parenting by Dr.
By.
Frederick Worth. He was the associate clinical professor of pediatrics, Tufts University School of Medicine.
Okay. It is called Prenatal Parenting. So that's our topic as well.
Yeah. Yes. He was inspired
So,
from his book. Many,
yes.
many, many, many authors have written on this.
Okay, so I'll just make a note of it here because somebody was asking us for the name of the book.
But to take Anuradha's Shetty's message forward, that was the whole idea behind the Sentient Baby program, is to offer information and pathways of exploration, not a to-do list for parents to do.
Correct. So that was it from us, from us for this Talking Tuesday. And as Divya had mentioned to you all that we'll soon be packaging all this information together, and we'll be offering it as a course as well to people who are interested in knowing more. So yeah, look out for this space on our Insta. We'll soon be launching it. We are also we have very interesting things coming up next month. So and we will continue our conversations here on our Talking Tuesdays. So see you all again next Tuesday as we begin another series of discussions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.